Hi guys, welcome to LMLM Crochet. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this crochet amigurumi fried egg. So for this project you're going to need your crochet hook that corresponds to the size of the yarn that you're using, or is slightly smaller than the size of the yarn that you're using for tighter stitches. You're going to need yellow yarn for the egg yolk and white yarn for the egg white. I'm using We Are Knitters the cotton because it's my favourite, and also because it crochets up really nicely. You also need a tiny amount of toy stuffing, your scissors nearby, and a yarn needle just to sew some ends in and to sew the yolk to the egg white. So let's get started. We're going to start with the egg white, so grab your white coloured yarn. And we're going to start with the magic ring. I'll put a link in the box below for my tutorial that goes into a lot more detail on how to create the magic ring and also how to increase the magic ring. So those are the kind of basics that we need for basic stitches that we'll need for today. So I'll just do it now for you if you aren't quite sure. So take your forefinger, wrap the yarn around to make, sorry, let me do that again. So you take your forefinger with the tail end here at the front and the long end at the back. You're going to wrap the yarn around to make an X. Pick up the piece on the right hand side, move it over like that to the left, and then pick up that piece that's left there. That creates a kind of loop. You put your hook into that loop, and just with these two fingers here, pull that tail, make that tighter, and you're just going to yarn over and pull through to make a chain, and then take your finger out and there's your magic ring. So now we're going to crochet 6 single crochet, and this is US terminology, into that ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then all you do is pull this tail end here. So it's very important that you crochet over that tail end, so if you haven't done that you might want to go back and do that, and then you just pull this tail end and it closes up to make a circle, really small circle of your stitches. So if you continue working in the round, all that means is you just continue making stitches. You don't slip stitch to the beginning to join it, you just make your next round of single crochet as normal into that first stitch. So we're going to do an increase round this time, which means we're going to do an increase into every single stitch around. So that means 2 single crochets are going to fit into each of these stitches, and that will bring our stitch count up to 12. So 1, and then we're going to go back into that same stitch. It can be a little bit tight, but trust me, it will definitely fit. 2 again in the next stitch, but I like to count up so I can keep track of how many stitches I've done. So this will be 3 and 4, 5 into the next stitch, and 6 into the same. 7 and 8 are going to be in the next stitch together. 9 and 10 in the next stitch together. And 11 and 12 into the final stitch together. And as you can see, the little holes have started to appear in the middle of the ring, so I'm just going to pull that tight to close that up. Okay, so we're going to increase again, and we're going to get the stitch count up to 18 stitches, and what that means is you increase in every other stitch basically. So increase, then 1 single crochet alone, then increase, then 1 single crochet alone. So 1, 2 in the first stitch. My third stitch of the round is going to go into alone. Then I'm going to go 4 and 5 into the following stitch, and 6 is going to be alone. 7 and 8 into the next stitch, and 9 is going to be alone. So do that all the way around until you've got a stitch count of 18. So now I've got 18, I now need to bring my stitch count up to 24. So what that means is I'm going to increase into the first stitch, as we will do in all these increase rounds, we'll always increase in the first stitch. It just makes the counting much easier. So that's going to be 1 and 2. And then 3 and 4 are going to be on their own in the following 2 stitches. So that's stitch 3 and that's stitch 4, and they are regular single crochet stitches. 5 and 6 are going to be increasing into the next stitch. So 5 and 6 are going together. 7 and 8 are going to be on their own. 7, 8, 9 and 10 together, and 11 and 12 are on their own. And you're just going to do that all the way around until you've reached a stitch count of 24. And once you've got 24, we need to increase again to make 30 stitches. So in case you haven't noticed, every time we increase, we're kind of using the times tables, aren't we? So this time, because we're going up to 30, we need to do 6 lots of 5 stitches. So the first one is an increase, then you have 1, 2, 3 on their own, and that's your first group of 5. Then you increase again and you 1, 2, 3 on their own. So I like to count up as I'm doing it to 30, because it helps me keep track. Because when you're crocheting in the round, it's really easy to lose track of how many stitches you've done, because it looks the same, if you see what I mean. So that's why I like to count all the way around. I mean, you could put a stitch marker in and then just count to 5, count to 5, count to 5, count to 5 all the way around. But this is just the way that I found is the most efficient and most satisfying for me. So increase into the first stitch, 1, 2, and we need to count to 5 now. So 3, 4 and 5 are going to be regular single crochets on their own. So 3, 4 and 5. 6 and 7 are going to be increases in the next stitch. 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 are all going to be on their own. 8, 9 and 10. So just do that all the way around. So you do increase and then 3 single crochet on their own until you've got 30 stitches. So we've done 30 stitches by now. We now need to get up to 36. As you can see, the circle's growing nicely, and this is actually quite a good tutorial for just how to sort of increase into the magic ring anyway, or how to create kind of bigger flat circles. And you can use this base for so many amigurumi projects. So we now need to get up to 36 stitches. So we're going to use the 6 times tables this time, as we're doing 6 times 6. So increase in the first stitch as per usual. So there's 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches are all going to be on their own, and then 7 and 8 is going to be your increase into the, so you're going to do 7 and 8 into the same stitch. 9, 10, 11, 12 are all going to be on their own. So the pattern is increase followed by 4 single crochet, increase 4 single crochet until you have 36 stitches. So there's 36 stitches all the way around. So now we need to get up to 42, which means we're going to use the 7 times table. So we're going to do increase in the first stitch, and then that's 1, 2, and then just count up to 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then again increase. So that'll be 8, 9, and this time we're counting up to 14, aren't we? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So all the way around, increase followed by 5 single crochet until you have a stitch count of 42. And next up, 42, you probably guessed it by now, 42 needs to become 48, so we need to use our 8 times tables. So we're going to do 6 lots of 8s. So we increase in the first stitch, 1, 2, and then we count up to 8, so that would be 6 single crochet on their own. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8. So do that all the way around till you've got a stitch count of 48. So it's going to be increase followed by 6 single crochet until you've got 48 stitches. And next up we need to get 48 stitches to become 54. So that means 9 times tables, and that means increase followed by 7 single crochet. So we're counting to 9 each time. So 1, 2, together, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then increase again, 10, 11, and then single crochet until you get to 18, etc, etc. So the pattern is increase followed by 7 single crochet until you have a stitch count of 54. So in this round we're going to turn 54 stitches into 60. So of course we're now on to the 10 times table, which is much easier because you just counted to 10 each time. So you're going to go increase in the first stitch, 1, 2, and then you're just going to simply count to 10. So it's the pattern is increase followed by 8 single crochet, and you're going to do that 6 times until you have a stitch count of 60. So now we've got a stitch count of 60. The next thing we need to do is get our stitch count up to 66, so it's the 11 times table. The difference is this time we're not just going to be using the single crochet, we're going to be creating a kind of wavy edge, if you like, to the edge of the fried egg. So it looks more like a fried egg. So we're going to start with a single crochet increase. This is a really good tutorial if you don't know all your stitches, because I can show you the different stitches. I'm using, just a reminder, I'm using US terminology as well throughout. So next up, what we're going to do, we've just done our single crochet increase. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do 2 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So a half double is somewhere between a single and a double, of course. So you're going to put your yarn over your hook like you would for a double crochet. You're going to go into the stitch, the next stitch, you're going to pull up some yarn, and you're actually going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops on your hook, and that's a half double crochet. So it's actually one of my favourite stitches to do because I love pulling the yarn through lots of loops. That's the most satisfying thing. So yarn over into the next stitch, pull through some yarn, yarn over again and pull through those 3 loops on your hook, and that is a half double crochet. So we've now done 2 half double. The next thing we want to do is 2 double crochet. So yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up some yarn. This time we're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then we're left with another 2, and we're going to yarn over and pull through the remaining, and we're going to do another one of those. So next stitch, pull through just 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through just 2 loops. Okay, next we're going to do a treble or a triple crochet, and that is wrapping the yarn around your hook twice like that, okay? Don't be put off, it's still fairly straightforward, there's just more steps to it. So go into your next stitch, pull through some yarn, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. See how it's just an extra stage than the double crochet. So we're going to do that again. Wrap the yarn around your hook twice, into the next stitch, pull through some yarn, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, if you need to rewind the video and watch that again, of course, that's absolutely fine. Okay, we're going to work our way back down the stitch height again. So we're going to start with, continue with a double crochet, and a double crochet in the next stitch as well. Oh, what have I done there? And in the next stitch we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and again in the next stitch, so yarn over into the stitch, pull up some yarn, yarn over and pull through all 3, and then we are going to do a single crochet in the same stitch as that half double crochet that we just did, and that's your increase following on for the next group of stitches. Okay, quite simply now, if that was a bit stressful for you, we're going back to common ground again, and we're going just to do 9 single crochet in the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next stitch needs to be our increase, so we're going to do 2 half double crochet into the same stitch. So yarn over into the next stitch, pull up your yarn, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and again into the same stitch, another half double, yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, if it'll go, yep, all 3 loops. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, then you're going to do a half double crochet into the following stitch, and then you're going to do 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're going to increase in the next stitch, so that's 2 single crochets together, 1 and 2, and then you're going to do 9 single crochet again on their own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we're going to repeat that first section that we did. So we're going to do single crochet increase, so that's 2 together, 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Then half double crochet in the next stitch, pull through all 3 loops, half double crochet in the next stitch, again pull through all 3 loops, double crochet in the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, and double crochet in the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, 2 trebles in the next 2 stitches, so yarn over and yarn over again, into the stitch, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay, yarn over twice into the next stitch, go through the next 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, and 2 double crochet in the following 2 stitches, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and a half double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3, half double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3, and a single crochet in the same stitch as that half double. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch and another single crochet in the following, and then we're going to do 4 half double crochets, so that's yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through 3 loops, and again, and again, and again. So that's 4 half double crochet you should have just done, and then we're going to end with 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and finally a slip stitch into that next stitch. And then all we're going to do is just pull the yarn through and snip it off, Don't need to leave a long tail because we'll use the yellow in a minute to sew that in, to sew the yolk on. So that's what it should look like, slightly not quite circular, a little bit wobbly edges like a fried egg would go when you put it in the pan. So what we need to do is tie in these loose ends. So that's what your yarn needle is useful for. So the best way to do it is just bury that yarn tail as much as possible. And I tend to go through stitches as well, like that, because that really makes sure it's secure and it won't come out, because that's, you don't want any loose ends coming out, especially if you're giving this as a gift. Okay, so I'm just going to do that a few more times and then snip it off once I'm satisfied that it's secure and not going anywhere. I'm doing the same with this one as well. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to need our yellow yarn. So I'll see you in a second for the next section. So I'm going to put the egg white to one side while I finish off the yolk. And as I said, you need your yellow yarn for this section of the egg. And all you're going to do, in fact, is follow, if you rewind the video and go back to the first few rounds of the egg white, and what you're going to do is you're going to do the first 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. You're going to give yourself 30 stitches. So that'll be the first 5 rounds of this tutorial. And then once you've done that, please come back to this point in the video or just after, and I'll show you what you need to do to get it looking like a fried egg. So just to repeat, you're going to go back to the first 5 rounds of the egg white tutorial, and when you've got a stitch count of 30, you're going to come back to this point in the video and I'm going to show you how to get it looking like an egg yolk and how to finish this off. Okay, so I'll see you once you've got 30 stitches around. Okay, so if you followed the first 5 steps of this tutorial, you should now have a magic ring that you've increased up to 30 stitches all the way around, okay? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, okay? So what you're going to do now is you're going to, what you could do if you wanted to is just sew that directly on there, and it already looks pretty cool, doesn't it? But if you wanted it more to look more amigurumi, more 3D, what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet in every single stitch around for 2 rounds, and quite simply all that means is that you're going to count to 30 stitches twice, so you're going to count to 60. So I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll come back and show you what it should look like. If you're doing it along with me, please pause the video here and count to 60 single crochet all the way around. So once you've done 2 rounds of single crochet all the way around without any increases, your egg yolk should look a lot like an egg yolk, should be nice and 3D like this. So all we're going to do now is slip stitch into the next stitch, and we're going to actually pull up a long tail for sewing on this time because we're going to sew it all the way around. So I'm going to cut. I always like to leave more overestimate rather than underestimate. So put all that to one side, pull that through. You're going to need your toy stuffing nearby as well, so I'm going to have that there ready to go. And what you can do is you can put it centralised onto the egg white, or you can have it slightly to the side. It's up to you. I think I'm going to go centralised today though. So just thread the end of that yarn tail onto your needle, and if you want it to be really accurate, you can find the 5th round on your egg white by counting from the middle. So that first one is your first round, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So you can align the 5th round, because obviously that'll be a 30 stitch count of 30 as well, with the egg yolk. And just all you do when you sew on is you attach the yarn to a stitch on this section and then onto a stitch from this section, from the yellow section. And you just do that all the way around until it is as secure as you need it to be. If this is going to be used as a toy for a child, then obviously you want to really make sure it's sewed down. But if you're going to use it as a pin cushion or something that's going to only get light use, then obviously it doesn't matter as much. So what you're going to do is you're going to sew it all the way around, a stitch on the yolk and a stitch on the egg white, and then when you've got a small opening, you're just going to stuff in as much toy stuffing as you want to use. You could even do it at this stage if you wanted to, it just gets a bit fiddly. And then continue to close it off like that. So I'm going to do that now. Pause the video as you're doing it, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. So once you've finished sewing it on, it should look a little something like this. It's already looking really cool. All you want to do is you want to bury this yarn tail now into the egg yolk. So if you've done it on this, if you've sewn in on this, the top of the stitches, it should look pretty neat on the bottom. So you don't want to mess that up by sewing into the bottom now. So just go into the egg yolk somewhere with that yarn tail. Don't pull too tightly though, obviously, because you don't want it to have a dimple in it. And I would go in again, and I'm probably going to go in once more. And all that means is it's really secure and that tail won't pop out while it's being played with and unravel the whole thing. So take your needle off, pull it nice and tight, and snip it up, and there you have a really cute, really cool fried egg, and that could be used as play food for a child as a gift, or it could be given to someone who loves fried eggs, or it can even be used for yourself as a pin cushion. So it's got loads of uses, and most of all it just looks really cool and it's really fun to make. So I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I have lots of other tutorials available on my YouTube as well, and if there's anything that you would like to see more of, please do let me know in the comments. If there's anything you'd like to request as well, please do let me know. I'm always looking for inspiration. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and also find me on Instagram and Twitter at LMLMCrochet. And if you do make one of these fried eggs, I'd love to see it, so use the hashtag LMLMCrochet as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!